I will never forget the day I stumbled upon Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara. I was naive, optimistic, and desperate for a higher education. I will always remember the initial excitement, the thrill of anticipating a new chapter in my life. But oh, how quickly that excitement turned into bitter disappointment. As I delved deeper into the program, I realized that the flexibility they touted was nothing more than a euphemism for a complete lack of support and organization. I felt utterly abandoned, lost in a sea of bureaucratic red tape. The online platform was dated and clunky, a relic of the early 2000s, and the faculty response times abysmal. It was as if they were intentionally avoiding me, leaving me to flounder in the darkness. But I persisted. I thought perhaps that I was just experiencing a few growing pains, that maybe, just maybe, things would get better. Oh, how foolish I was. The accreditation issues, the constant changes in advisors, the lack of genuine collaboration, it was all just a facade, a charade designed to separate me from my hard-earned money. And the curriculum, completely irrelevant to my professional goals. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of useless information, unable to swim to the surface. The networking opportunities, non-existent. I was just a number, a tuition payment, a means to an end. I tried to reach out to get some semblance of personalized attention, but it was like pulling teeth. The customer service was atrocious, a never-ending cycle of frustration and disappointment. My dissertation committee was unhelpful, actively stalling my progress. It was as if they were invested in my failure, the promise of an accelerated program, a lie, a cruel, heartless lie. I was trapped in a never-ending cycle of disappointment, a prisoner of my own expectations. And when I finally emerged, battered and bruised, I realized that I had wasted a small fortune on a degree that was all but worthless. I am not alone in this experience. My friend, who has been working on her doctorate for 4 years, is still stuck in limbo. Her advisor is too busy to help her, too caught up in their own interests to care. It's a never-ending cycle of exploitation, a game of cat and mouse where the university always comes out on top. So I ask you, dear reader, do you want to fall into the same trap? Do you want to waste your time, your money, your sanity on a university that cares little for its students? I think not. Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara, is a nightmare, a cautionary tale of what happens when greed and apathy reign supreme. So I leave you with this warning.
In this part, we will look at how the businesses near Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara, tend to act. The overall feeling is that many of these places feel expensive, hard to please, and sometimes just plain disappointing. Imagine walking into a promise of comfort and finding a broken umbrella instead. That is the pattern that appears again and again. The university itself already shows this pattern. Students report that the quality of teachers can swing wildly, that advisors can be too busy to help, and that tuition feels like a trap that catches you again and again. It feels like paying for a golden ticket that sometimes turns out to be cardboard. Hotels and retreats in the area show the same story. San Isidro Ranch is a perfect example. Reservations are a maze of 2 different names that lead to a night of waiting at a table that never exists. The staff often answer calls with a tone that feels like a slammed door. Guests describe rooms that seem to share a home with insects, and check-in times that are pushed far into the afternoon, even though the price is high. A late-night snack service disappears between 2 and 5 in the afternoon, leaving hungry travelers with empty stomachs. Indian cuisine on State Street follows the same disappointing. Bibai Jai 20 serves dishes that lack the spice and depth expected from a true Indian kitchen. Portions are so small they could fit on a child's plate, yet the bill looks like it belongs to a banquet. A tiny side of raita is sold for far more than it is worth, and extra charges appear for sauces that were never asked for. Service feels distant, and one reply from the owner reads like a sarcastic echo rather than a genuine apology. Even when the food is passable, the atmosphere does not make up for the high price and the feeling of being taken for a fool. Coffee lovers also find sorrow in this neighborhood. Dune Coffee Roasters promises a specialty experience, but delivers bitter, sour drinks that taste like they were brewed with old water. The staff act as if the customer does not understand coffee at all, offering only a special recipe that leaves a regular espresso feeling lonely. The shop often shuts its doors while the sign is still open, refuses bathroom use, and does not provide any place to charge a phone. Prices climb to $6 or $7 for a cup that feels more like a science experiment than a comforting drink. Antique hunting does not bring the joy of discovery either. The Blue Door fills its space with interesting items, yet the prices are sky-high and the staff treat visitors like unwanted guests. Some shoppers feel watched by a monitor, and a broken decorative stone turns into a 100 lesson in how strict the "you broke it, you buy it" policy can be. The overall vibe is one of being asked to pay for a feeling rather than the items themselves. Even places that try to be healthy and modern fall short. Satellite SB promises fresh, locally sourced meals, but often serves vegetables that taste like they have been left out too long. One diner complained that a lentil dish tasted like vomit, while another was charged $20 for a tiny glass of wine that could have been bought for half the price elsewhere. The bartender can be confrontational, even tracking down reviewers after a complaint. On the brighter side, a few guests note friendly faces and nice music, but the food and pricing leave a sour aftertaste. Finally, the fitness center in the area, F45 Training Santa Barbara, shows a different kind of neglect. Visitors arrive expecting an open gym and instead find construction zones and outdated hours that make a midnight workout impossible. The disappointment is simple: a place meant for health feels more like a half-finished building. Travelers should keep these patterns in mind when planning a visit near Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara.
Expect higher prices, watch for confusing reservation systems, be ready for service that may feel indifferent, and prepare for food that might not live up to its promises. If you can navigate these challenges with a sense of humor and a careful eye on the bill, you may still find pockets of kindness and good atmosphere among the many shadows.
I am looking into crimes near Fielding Graduate University in Santa Barbara, and I feel a heavy sadness because these stories hurt people who only wanted a short visit. Businesses near Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara, are often small shops and banks that rely on tourists walking by. They sometimes have friendly windows, but they can also hide very clever fraud. One recent case involved a phone call that pretended to be from a large online retailer. A tourist staying near Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara, received a call that said there were unauthorized charges on their account and that a federal agency representative needed cash to stop the fraud. The caller demanded that the visitor withdraw $30,000 in cash from 2 local banks and then send photos of the money in a sealed box. The tourist probably felt scared and obeyed because the voice seemed official. After the call, the victim likely called the sheriff's office, as the story describes, and the police set a sting. The suspect was caught nearby and every dollar was returned. The tourist probably felt embarrassed but also relieved, and the experience may have made them distrustful of any phone request for cash in the future. The scammer will likely face prison time for grand theft and conspiracy. Another incident that affects visitors is the gift card theft ring that operated in many stores near Fielding Graduate University, Santa Barbara. Retail locations that sell gift cards were used to force customers, sometimes elderly locals but also tourists, to buy high-value cards and then hand over the codes. A tourist who was asked to buy a gift card for a reservation fee might have handed over the code without thinking. After the purchase, the scammers would use the code online to buy expensive items and resell them. The victim probably discovered the loss when the card balance was empty and felt cheated, perhaps reporting the fraud to police. The police raid showed thousands of stolen goods and many suspects were arrested, so the criminals are likely now in custody and will receive long sentences. The tourist may have lost money and trust, and might avoid any in-person gift card purchase.